Shalom, Kol Haloyim, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakodash, Shan Yukabad, Agadwala Requab, Zaquanyam Nawa, Wa Shalayakim Nawa, and that's the belongers to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, Wabarak, Mabakaryim, Shaliasharala, and that's peace and blessings to the elect of Israel. This is going to be another video in the series of what your Christian pastor isn't telling you, and this is going to be about the serpent. The serpent when you read through Genesis, the 3rd chapter. And in this chapter, there are so many different aspects to touch on. Of course, the serpent. You have them being so-called naked. You get that in Genesis, the 2nd chapter, and the last verse. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. You know, they weren't naked. That's an aspect to touch on. The fruit that they ate, it wasn't an apple. You know, it wasn't physical fruit. So many things to touch on. What I want to do in this series, though, is keep it very short and sweet and simple and right to the point. And so, Lord's will, maybe we touch on those things in a different video. Right now, we're just going to be touching on the serpent. And in Christianity, they tell you that this is actually a snake. They tell you that Eve was literally talking to a snake. And how bizarre does that sound? Now, if the Most High wanted it to be that way, of course, he could make the snake talk. The Most High, Yahweh, can do whatsoever he pleases. However, that's not what's written. That's not what happened. And so we're going to touch on that and a few more aspects of it. What I'm going to do is start reading at verse 1, and I'm going to read all the way through verse 5, and then we'll come back up to verse 1 and start breaking it down. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord Yahweh power had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, I read verbatim, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So we all are well familiar with the story and how these things played out. Let's go back up to verse 1 and talk about a few things here. It says, Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. Right now I'm curious. Lord, that's Yahweh, God, Elohim, which Yahweh's powers. That's what that reads in the Hebrew. Yahweh's and then Elohim, powers, right? The angels. So, the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. The first thing we're going to do is look up the word subtle. It's Arawam. Arawam. And it says subtle, shrewd, crafty, sly, sensible, really crafty, shrewd, sly. When you come down to the Strong's definition, it says cunning, crafty, right? Subtle. So the first thing that we know about this serpent is that he was a sly little thing. He was crafty. And more specifically with his words, which we're going to see. So the serpent was more subtle, crafty, sly, slick than any beast of the field. So first or second, this is all you have to do. I mean, it takes a little bit of studying, some diligence, and of course learning from the people that came before you. But when you type in the word beast, and of course it pops up so many times, right? So many times. But sometimes this is what you have to do. You have to go precept upon precept, line upon line. Now, when we do that, we see the word beast here in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 19. Actually, I went in verse 18. It says, I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. Concerning the estate of the sons of men, that they might see that they themselves are beasts. So we see that the word beast can also be used to refer to men, or we'll just say man, right? Humans, to be more exact. So we're taking this piece by piece. Now the serpent was more subtle. He was more cunning, more crafty, more sly than any beast or than any man of the field which the Lord God had made, Yahweh powers had made. And the field is the world, right? We'll just say that. The field is the world. So already within that first sentence, we understand a little bit about this serpent. We know that he was a subtle, sly, crafty thing, and that this is actually referring to a man. And a little bit deeper, is referring to a specific nation of people. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? So we finished out verse 1. Now, with that information that we have, what we can do, once again, all we have to do is type in the word serpent. And this is how you study. Now we'll go to the New Testament, and it's in a few places here, 8 places in which it occurs. In the book of Revelation, you see it pop up 3 times in the 12th chapter, and then 1 time in the 20th chapter in verse 2. And that's what we want to highlight and get. Verse 1 says, And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. The bottomless pit is Europe. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Let's keep reading. And cast him into the bottomless pit, into Europe, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. So first, before we jump back to verse 2, let's talk about verse 3. We know the bottomless pit is Europe. So it says that this dragon was cast into the bottomless pit, and a seal was put on him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years shall be fulfilled. What this is referring to is the dragon represents the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, specifically headed by the Edomites, they were taken out of rulership, and for 1,000 years, Jacob was ruling. Those 1,000 years are known as the what Esau calls the Dark Ages. But really, Jacob was ruling in the Byzantine Empire. But of course, Esau pushes out his witchcraft, and he calls it the the Dark Ages, so that we don't know our history and the entire world is deceived. So, and after that he must be loosed a little season. So the Roman Empire, the Edomites, they went down for 1,000-year period, just about. The Byzantine Empire, aka Jacob, was ruling for those 1,000 years. Now, that was between maybe 300, around like the mid 300s, to once again the mid 1300s, about 1,000-year period. After that, Esau came back into power because of this prophecy. It says, and after that he must be loosed a little season. That little season is from around the 1300s all the way leading up until right now. And in the 1400s, you have something called the Renaissance period, the rebirth. The rebirth of what or who? Esau, Edom coming back into power. So from that Renaissance period up until right now is the little season that Esau, Edom is being loosed. Now that's important because Esau, Edom is the one or the man that was ruling during the time of the Roman Empire that's being referred to here as the dragon in verse 2. So now this is all about to come back home. When we read verse 2, it says, and he laid hold on the dragon, the Roman Empire that was being ruled by the Edomites, that old serpent. So wait, was the Roman Empire way back in the garden? No, of course not. That's obvious. So what this is referring to it is a specific people, a specific nation that's ruling, and the same spirit of that nation is the same spirit of the man that we know, which was a serpent in the garden, which is the same man, the same spirit of the Roman Empire, the people that ruled, being referred to here as the dragon. I hope all that's making sense. Trying to make this all come home here. This is how you prove who the serpent is and what it's referring to. It's an actual man, a nation of people. The spirit of the man, of that serpent, of that man, is the same spirit of the Edomites. How do we know? Because they're the dragon right here. They ruled the Roman Empire, and they're being referred to as the serpent. Boom. It should be clicking now, Lord's will. And then it says, which is the devil and Satan, meaning these are terms. These are adjectives to describe that man. He was a devil. He was, a deceiver. He was Satan. He was an adversary of the Most High. So which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So now we have more of an understanding of that serpent in Genesis, the 3rd chapter. This is how you break it down. And of course, maybe there are a few other precepts that we could jump to. But this serpent, matter of fact, I wanted to look up. Let me do that real quick. Revelation, what was that, 20? Check this out. Last thing, we'll look up the word serpent in the Greek, because we did it in the Hebrew. And it says ophis. It says snake, serpent, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. In the Strong's definition, it says a snake, but figuratively, if I can highlight it, but figuratively, an artful, malicious person. Figuratively, an artful, malicious person, aka a devil. If someone is doing something, malicious here on earth, don't you sometimes just call them a devil? Like they're evil, they're wicked, they're malicious? Yeah. That's a serpent. A serpent is cunningly wise to do evil. It's a malicious person. And that's exactly what this is in Genesis, the 3rd chapter. The serpent right here is a man, and it's figuratively being called a serpent to describe that man. Another adjective is Satan, or adversary, right? Or someone that practices divinations, witchcraft. Let me see. I know we looked up subtle. Maybe I'm tripping. I recorded this a few times, so we'll do it anyway, just in case I forgot. This is Nahash for the word serpent in the Hebrew. Nahash. And it just says serpent. So what we'll do is click on that root. We get the same word, nachash. And to practice divination. To practice divination. When we jump down to the Strong's definition, enchantment, an enchanter, divine, right? And is that not what the serpent did? The spirit of that serpent, which is the spirit of Esau, Edom today, it's the same spirit coming back here today, ruling the entire world. Ye shall not surely die. He deceived. That was an enchantment. That was a witchcraft. It was a spell. Oh, here it is. It says to whisper a magic spell. That's what you do when you enchant someone. You use your words. And when you use your words, you're spelling. That's what you're doing. You're casting a spell. Ye shall not surely die. That was an enchantment. And it worked on Eve. And of course, the Lord made that happen. And of course, from there, Adam went off too. But that's the Hebrew word nachash for serpent, right? All describing this man. That's how you break it down. That's how you go into it. Definitely went a little bit longer than I wanted, but I tried to do my best to slow down and to get all the aspects in order to properly understand what this serpent is referring to. It's an actual man. And the spirit of that man is the same spirit that's inside of the Edomites today that are calling themselves white, Caucasian, European, everything under the sun except their true nationality, which is Esau, Edom. So I pray that this was edifying to the elect. Call Halayim Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachakodash, double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the elect. Shalom.